My wife swore she never cheated. Then her ex sent me a video that changed everything. For 8 years, my wife looked me in the eye and told me I was the only man she had ever truly loved. For 8 years, she held my hand at family dinners, kissed me in front of our friends, posted anniversary photos with long captions about loyalty, and made me feel guilty every time I asked one simple question. Are you sure there's nothing you need to tell me? Every time, she gave me the same answer. Mark, I have never cheated on you. I swear on everything. And I believed her. Not because I was stupid. Not because the signs were not there. I believed her because when you build a life with someone, you start protecting the version of them you fell in love with, even when the real person is standing right in front of you, lying through a smile. My name is Mark Ellison. I was 38 years old when my marriage ended, but the truth had started dying years before that. My wife's name was Vanessa. When I met her, she was 27. Charming, confident, and beautiful in a way that made people turn their heads without even realizing they were doing it. She had dark auburn hair, sharp green eyes, and the kind of laugh that made you feel like you had just said the smartest thing in the room. I was not rich when we met. I was working as an operations manager for a logistics company in Ohio. I made decent money, had a small house, drove a used truck, and lived a quiet life. Vanessa used to say she loved that about me. You make life feel safe, she told me on our third date. At the time, I thought that was romantic. Years later, I realized safe was not the same as loved. Before me, Vanessa had dated a man named Caleb Ross. I knew about him. Everyone knew about him. Caleb was the ex who never fully disappeared. He had been her college boyfriend, her first serious relationship, the guy her old friends still mentioned carefully, like they were touching a bruise. Vanessa always said Caleb was toxic, jealous, manipulative, and obsessed with her. He couldn't accept that I moved on, she told me. So when Caleb sent her messages during our first year together, I believed her when she said he was harassing her. When he liked her photos, I believed her when she said he was trying to get attention. When he showed up at a bar where we were having drinks with friends, I believed her when she said it was a coincidence. Then, 6 months before our wedding, I found a message on her phone. It was late. Vanessa had fallen asleep on the couch, and her phone buzzed on the coffee table. I was not trying to snoop. The screen lit up right in front of me. The message was from Caleb. It said, "You looked beautiful tonight. I miss us." My chest went cold. I woke Vanessa up and asked her about it. She looked annoyed first, then offended, then hurt. That became her pattern. Annoyance. Offense. Hurt. She said Caleb had been drinking. She said he sent messages like that sometimes. She said she never replied. Then she asked me why I was looking at her phone. By the end of the conversation, I was the one apologizing. That should have been the first warning. But when you love someone, you can explain away almost anything. We got married in June. It was a beautiful wedding. My parents cried. Her mother gave a speech about how Vanessa had finally found a man steady enough to love her properly. Caleb was not invited, of course. At least, that was what I thought. 2 years into our marriage, Vanessa began changing. She started guarding her phone. She stopped leaving it face up. She added a password to her laptop. She began taking more girls' nights, more work dinners, more last-minute errands. When I asked questions, she would laugh like I was being ridiculous. "Mark, I'm not your employee. I don't have to report every move." I backed off. I did not want to be controlling. That was her favorite word. Controlling. If I asked who she was texting, I was controlling. If I asked why she came home at 1 in the morning smelling like cologne that was not mine, I was insecure. If I asked why she deleted entire message threads, I was paranoid. And if I mentioned Caleb, she exploded. "You are obsessed with him," she snapped one night. "Not me. You." I remember standing in our kitchen, holding a glass of water, feeling like the floor had shifted under me, because somehow, every time Vanessa did something suspicious, I ended up defending myself. That is how manipulation works. It does not just hide the truth. It makes you feel guilty for noticing it. By year 5, our marriage looked perfect from the outside. We had a nicer home in a quiet neighborhood. Vanessa drove a white BMW. I had been promoted twice. We hosted Christmas parties. We went on vacations. We smiled in photos. But inside our house, I was lonely. Vanessa was there, but she was not with me. She criticized small things constantly. The way I loaded the dishwasher, the shirts I wore, the music I played, the way I talked to waiters, the way I breathed when I was tired. At first, I thought marriage was just getting comfortable. Then I realized she was not comfortable. She was resentful. One Friday night, everything almost came out. Vanessa told me she was going to dinner with her coworker, Melissa. Around 10:30, I called her because I had a flat tire on my way home from visiting my father. She did not answer. I called again. Nothing. I texted Melissa. Melissa replied 5 minutes later. "Hey Mark, I'm actually home tonight. Haven't seen Vanessa since work." My hands started shaking. Vanessa came home at 1:20 in the morning. Her hair was different. Her lipstick was gone. She smelled like hotel soap. I asked where she had been. She rolled her eyes. With Melissa. I told her I had texted Melissa. For 1 second, her face changed. Not fear. Calculation. Then she said, "Oh my God. I forgot Melissa canceled. I went with Rachel instead. I asked to see the receipt." She laughed. "You need help." That night, for the first time, I said the word. "Are you cheating on me?" She stared at me like I had slapped her. Then she started crying. Real tears. Heavy tears. She said she could not believe I thought so little of her. She said her father had cheated on her mother. And she would never do that to someone. She said I had destroyed something between us by even asking. Then she said the sentence I would remember for the rest of my life. "I swear to God, Mark, I have never cheated on you." I wanted to believe her so badly that I did. The next morning, I bought her flowers. That is the part I am most ashamed of. Not that she lied. That I rewarded the lie because I was afraid of losing the marriage. 3 years passed. The suspicion never fully left. But I buried it under work, routine, and exhaustion. I told myself that if Vanessa was still here, still wearing her ring, still coming home eventually, then maybe I had imagined more than I knew. Then one Tuesday evening, my phone buzzed while I was sitting in my office. Unknown number. The message said, "Mark, you don't know me well, but you deserve the truth. This is Caleb." My stomach dropped. I almost deleted it. Then another message came in. "I'm not sending this to hurt you. I'm sending it because she lied to both of us." Then came the video. I stared at the thumbnail for almost a full minute before I touched it. The video was only 42 seconds long. But it ended 8 years of my life. It showed Vanessa in a hotel room. Not from years ago. Not before our marriage. The date stamp was from 11 months earlier. She was standing near a window, wearing the blue dress I bought her for our anniversary dinner. The same dress she wore when she told me she had to leave early because her mother was having chest pains. Caleb's voice was behind the camera. He said, "Tell me again why you married him." Vanessa laughed. Then she said, "Because Mark is safe. You were never safe." Caleb said, "And now?" She walked toward him, smiled, and said, "Now I get both." I watched it once. Then twice. Then a third time, without sound. I do not remember breathing. There are moments in life when pain does not arrive as screaming. Sometimes it comes silently, like a door closing somewhere deep inside you. I did not yell. I did not throw my phone. I did not call Vanessa. I sat in my office, staring at the wall, realizing my wife had not just cheated. She had built a life where I was the stable fool, and another man was the secret thrill. Caleb sent more messages. He told me the affair had gone on and off for years. He said Vanessa always claimed she was going to leave me, but never did. He said she told him I was boring, predictable, useful. Useful. That word did more damage than the video. He sent screenshots, hotel reservations, photos, messages, voice notes. One message from Vanessa said, "Mark suspects again. I'll handle him." Another said, "He always apologizes when I cry." I had to put the phone down after that. Because suddenly, I saw my marriage clearly. Not as a tragedy. As a system. She lied. I noticed. She cried. I apologized. She continued. That night, I did not go home right away. I drove to a parking lot outside a closed hardware store, and sat there until the sky went dark. My phone kept buzzing. "Vanessa. Where are you? Dinner is getting cold. Are you seriously ignoring me?" Then finally, "Mark, don't start acting weird again." Ah. I looked at that message for a long time. Then I turned my phone off. I checked into a small hotel 20 minutes away. Not the kind Vanessa used with Caleb, just a plain room with beige walls, stiff towels, and a humming air conditioner. I did not sleep. At 6 in the morning, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Diane Mercer. She had represented one of my coworkers years before, and I remembered him saying, "She doesn't play games." That was exactly what I needed. By 8:30, I was sitting in her office, showing her everything Caleb had sent. Diane watched the video once. Her expression did not change. Then she said, "Do you want revenge, or do you want freedom?" I said, "Both." She leaned back and said, "Then, start with discipline." That became the rule. No confrontation. No emotional explosion. No warning, Vanessa. Diane told me to gather financial records, secure my accounts, document everything, and stop giving Vanessa access to information she could use against me. Our state was no fault, so the cheating itself would not magically give me everything. But Vanessa had made one mistake she did not know I had noticed. 2 years earlier, I had received a small inheritance from my grandfather. I used part of it as a down payment on a rental property. Vanessa had insisted the property should be in both our names because we were married. I later found out she had used money from our joint account to pay for hotel stays with Caleb during the same period she was pressuring me to invest more into our future. Diane smiled when she saw the records. "She may not lose because she cheated," she said, "but she can absolutely lose because she lied about money." For 3 weeks, I lived like an actor in my own house. I came home. I answered politely. I ate dinner across from Vanessa while knowing exactly what she had done in hotel rooms, in parking lots, in hidden text threads. She complained that I seemed distant. I said work was stressful. She suggested a weekend trip. I said maybe. She kissed my cheek one morning and said, "I love you." I looked at her and said, "I know." Not, "I love you too." Just, "I know." She noticed. For the first time in years, Vanessa became nervous. That almost made me laugh. Not because it was funny. Because she had mistaken my silence for weakness for so long that she did not recognize strategy. Meanwhile, Caleb kept sending information. At first, I thought he was doing it out of guilt. Then I realized Caleb was angry because Vanessa had lied to him too. She had told him I was emotionally abusive. She had told him I controlled the money. She had told him she was trapped. But when Caleb found out Vanessa had been planning an anniversary trip with me while promising him she was leaving me, his ego broke. He did not expose her because he became noble. He exposed her because he finally realized he was not special either. That did not matter to me. Truth from a selfish man is still truth. The day everything came out was a Sunday. Vanessa had planned lunch at her mother's house. Her parents would be there. My parents were invited too. She said it would be good for us to spend time with family. I agreed. But before lunch, Diane had arranged for Vanessa to be served divorce papers at the house. I did not tell anyone. We arrived at noon. Vanessa wore a cream sweater and gold earrings. She looked calm, elegant, untouchable. Her mother hugged me and said, "There's my favorite son-in-law." I almost said, "Not for long." Instead, I smiled. Lunch began with polite conversation. Vanessa talked about remodeling our kitchen. Her father asked about my job. My mother asked when we were going to take another vacation. Then the doorbell rang. Vanessa's mother frowned. Who could that be? A man at the door asked for Vanessa Ellison. She stood. Yes? He handed her the envelope. "You've been served." The room went still. Vanessa looked confused at first. Then she opened the envelope, her face drained of color. She looked at me. "What is this?" I placed my napkin on the table. "That is me leaving the marriage you ended years ago." Her mother gasped. My father said, "Mark?" Vanessa's eyes flashed. "Are you insane? You're divorcing me at my mother's house?" I said, "No. I'm divorcing you because you cheated on me for years." The room exploded. Vanessa immediately denied it. Of course she did. She stood there with legal papers in her hand and still said, "That is not true." Her mother looked at me like I was disgusting. "How dare you accuse my daughter of something like that?" Vanessa started crying. Again. Same pattern. Annoyance. Offense. Hurt. She said, "I have never cheated on him. I swear." That was when I took out my phone. I did not play the whole video. Just the part that mattered. Caleb's voice. "Tell me again why you married him." Vanessa's laugh. Her answer. "Because Mark is safe." Then her voice again. "Now I get both." Nobody spoke. The silence after truth is different from ordinary silence. It has weight. Vanessa's mother sat down slowly. Her father stared at the floor. My mother covered her mouth. Vanessa whispered, "Where did you get that?" I said, "That's your first question?" She stepped toward me. "Mark, please. That is not what it looks like." I almost smiled. Because for years, I had wondered what guilty people said when caught beyond denial. Apparently, they say exactly what everyone says. It is not what it looks like. But it was exactly what it looked like. I told her I knew about the hotels, the messages, the money, the lies about her mother, the fake work dinners, the deleted threads, the way she used tears to make me apologize for her betrayal. With each sentence, Vanessa got smaller. Not physically, but the woman who had controlled every room she entered began disappearing. Her mother started crying too, but I was done caring whose tears were real. Vanessa asked if we could talk privately. I said no. For once, the conversation was going to happen where other people could hear it. She lowered her voice. "Mark, I made mistakes." I said, "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. You built a second relationship inside our marriage." She said, "I was confused." I said, "You were comfortable." That shut her up. After that day, Vanessa changed tactics. First, she begged. She left voicemails saying she loved me, that Caleb meant nothing, that she had been broken, that she wanted counseling. Then she blamed me. She said I had worked too much. I had become emotionally unavailable. I had made her feel invisible. Then she threatened me. She said she would take the house, the rental property, half my retirement, and tell everyone I had been abusive. That was when Diane sent her attorney the evidence package. Suddenly, Vanessa became quiet. The divorce took 7 months. 7 long, ugly months. She fought over furniture she did not want just to punish me. She demanded spousal support even though she had a full-time job. She tried to claim I had abandoned the marriage by staying in a hotel that first night. But the financial records hurt her badly. So did the messages. So did the fact that Caleb, in his anger, agreed to provide a statement. I never met him in person. I did not want to. People asked if I hated him. The truth is, I did not have enough energy left to hate both of them. Vanessa had been my wife. Vanessa had made vows to me. Caleb was just the man she chose to betray me with. He was not innocent. But he was not the one who slept beside me every night and lied into my face every morning. By the end, I kept the rental property. I kept my retirement mostly intact. We sold the house, and Vanessa walked away with far less than she expected. The day the divorce was finalized, she waited for me outside the courthouse. She looked different. No perfect makeup. No confident posture. Just tired eyes and a woman finally standing in the ruins of choices she thought she could hide forever. "Mark," she said. "Can we talk?" I should have walked away. But I stopped. She said, "I know you'll never believe this, but I did love you." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said, "I believe you loved what I gave you." Her eyes filled with tears. I continued. "You loved the stability. The house. The vacations. The version of yourself you got to pretend to be with me. But you did not love me enough to protect me from humiliation. You did not love me enough to tell the truth. You did not even love me enough to stop when you saw what your lies were doing." She cried harder. This time, I did not feel guilty. That was how I knew I was finally free. A year has passed since then. I live in a smaller house now, but it is peaceful. My phone does not make my stomach drop anymore. I do not check anyone's location. I do not lie awake wondering why someone smells like a place they claim they never went. I wake up early, make coffee, go to work, and come home to silence that feels like rest instead of punishment. Vanessa tried to come back twice. The first time, she sent a long email on what would have been our 9th anniversary. She said she had started therapy. She said she understood now that she had sabotaged the best thing in her life. She said Caleb was gone, her friends had pulled away, and her mother barely looked at her the same. I did not reply. The second time, she showed up at my new house. I opened the door, but did not invite her in. She said, "I miss us." I said, "You miss being forgiven." She said, "Do you really hate me that much?" I said, "No. I just finally love myself more." She stood there crying on my porch, waiting for the old Mark to appear. The Mark who would soften. The Mark who would apologize for making her uncomfortable. The Mark who would mistake tears for accountability. But that man was gone. Not dead. Just wiser. I closed the door gently. Not because she deserved gentleness. Because I did. People think betrayal ends when you discover the truth. It does not. That is only when the second battle begins. The first battle is against the person who lied to you. The second is against the part of yourself that wants the lie back because it felt safer than starting over. For months, I missed the marriage I thought I had. Not the real one. The imaginary one. The wife who never existed. The loyalty I had invented. The future I had planned with someone who had already been living a double life. Healing meant grieving a person who was still alive. That is a strange kind of funeral. There is no coffin, no ceremony, no clear ending. Just small moments when you realize you are no longer waiting for an apology that would never be enough. Caleb sent me one final message after the divorce. He said, "I'm sorry for my part in it." I stared at that message for a while. Then I replied, "You didn't break my marriage. You helped reveal what it was." After that, I blocked him too. Because truth does not mean access. I do not know where Vanessa is now. I heard she moved to another city. I heard she tells people our marriage ended because we grew apart. Maybe that is easier than saying she cheated for years and got caught because her ex sent her husband a video. Let her have her version. I have the truth. And more importantly, I have peace. If there is one thing I learned, it is this. When someone keeps calling you paranoid, insecure, or controlling for asking reasonable questions, do not only listen to their words. Watch the pattern. Honest people may get hurt by suspicion. But guilty people get angry at evidence that has not even been found yet. Vanessa swore she never cheated. She swore on our marriage. She swore on her family. She swore on God. But in the end, one 42-second video told me more truth than 8 years of promises ever did. And the saddest part is not that she cheated. The saddest part is that for years, I kept asking for honesty from someone who only wanted forgiveness without confession. Now, when I look back, I do not see myself as a fool. I see a man who loved deeply, trusted fully, and stayed longer than he should have because he believed marriage was worth fighting for. And maybe it was, but only if both people were fighting for the same thing. I was fighting for us. Vanessa was fighting to keep her secret. She lost. And finally, I stopped losing too. For a while, I thought the story was over. The divorce was finalized. The house was sold. The papers were signed. Vanessa was gone. Most people would call that an ending. I did too, at least until 6 months later. Because that was when my phone rang at 7:15 on a rainy Thursday morning. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I ignored unknown numbers. That day, for some reason, I answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was shaking. Mark. It's Vanessa. I almost hung up immediately, but something in her tone stopped me. Not because I cared. Because she sounded terrified. Why are you calling me? I asked. There was a long pause. Then she whispered. I need help. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because 6 months earlier she had threatened to destroy my life. Now she was asking for help. Call someone else, please. No, Mark. Please listen. I closed my eyes. Against my better judgment, I listened. And what she told me next surprised even me. Caleb had disappeared. Not emotionally. Not metaphorically. Literally disappeared. 3 weeks earlier, he had emptied several bank accounts and vanished. According to Vanessa, he had convinced her to invest nearly all of her divorce settlement into a new business venture. A logistics startup. Apparently he claimed he had wealthy investors ready to join. He promised huge returns. He promised a future. He promised everything. Vanessa believed him, the same way I once believed her. The irony wasn't lost on me. How much money? I asked. Silence. Then she answered. Almost all of it. I nearly dropped the phone. What do you mean all of it? 82%. I laughed again, harder this time. Because I suddenly realized something. Vanessa wasn't calling because she missed me. She wasn't calling because she loved me. She was calling because the safety net was gone. For years, I had been plan B. Now plan A had robbed her. And she wanted plan B back. I ended the call. I thought that would be the last time I heard from her. I was wrong. 2 days later, my mother called. Mark, can you come over? I immediately knew something was wrong. My mother never sounded nervous. When I arrived, she looked exhausted. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and folded her hands. Then she said something I never expected. Vanessa's mother came here yesterday. I frowned. What for? My mother hesitated. She wanted us to convince you to forgive Vanessa. I stared at her. What? My mother nodded slowly. Apparently Vanessa had been telling her family that we might eventually reconcile. That there was still hope. That I was just hurt. That time would heal everything. Meanwhile, she was leaving out one important detail. I had never once suggested reconciliation. Not even remotely. My mother looked disgusted. She still doesn't understand what she did. No, I said quietly. She understands. Mom frowned. What do you mean? I leaned back. She just doesn't care. That was the difference. A lot of people confuse regret with consequences. Vanessa wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry her choices finally cost her something. 2 weeks later, another surprise arrived. This one came in the mail. No return address. Inside was a thick envelope. My stomach tightened immediately. The last anonymous package I received had destroyed my marriage. I opened it carefully. Inside were dozens of printed screenshots. Emails. Text messages. Financial records. And one handwritten note. Mark. I thought you deserved to know the whole truth. There are things Vanessa never told either of you. A friend. My pulse started racing. I spent the next 2 hours reading. By the end, I felt sick. Not because I learned something new about Vanessa. Because I learned how much worse everything had been. According to the messages, the affair had not started 5 years into our marriage. It had started before the wedding. Before the engagement. Before I proposed. For almost our entire relationship, she had been seeing Caleb on and off. Every time they broke up, she came back to me. Every time they reunited, she lied to me. I found messages discussing wedding plans. Messages sent while she was shopping for her bridal dress. Messages sent while she was choosing our honeymoon destination. One message made me physically nauseous. Caleb wrote, "Are you really marrying him?" Vanessa replied, "Relax. He's the stable option." I stopped reading for several minutes after that. Because suddenly, I realized something devastating. The woman I married never actually existed. I had spent years mourning the loss of someone who had never been real. That realization hurt more than the affair itself. A week later, I received another call. This time it wasn't Vanessa, it was Caleb. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Mark. His voice sounded different, smaller, nervous. What do you want? Silence. Then he sighed. I owe you an apology. I laughed. About 10 years late, I know. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then Caleb said something unexpected. Vanessa wasn't the only liar. I sat upright. What does that mean? Another pause. Then he told me everything. Apparently the missing money wasn't gone. Not all of it. Vanessa thought Caleb stole everything because that's what he wanted her to believe. In reality, he had discovered she had secretly been taking money from him for years too. Small amounts. Hidden transfers. Credit accounts. Private loans. According to Caleb, she had been running the same manipulation game on both of us. Different stories, different lies, different victims. For the first time since the divorce, I actually felt sorry for him. Not much. Just enough. Because suddenly I understood. Vanessa never chose between us. She used both of us. The realization explained everything. Why she never left me. Why she never committed to him. Why she constantly needed attention, validation, and control. Because neither relationship was about love. Both relationships were about supply. As long as two men competed for her attention, she felt powerful. But eventually every game ends. And hers ended alone. Months passed. Life became peaceful again. I focused on work. I renovated my rental property. I started exercising. I lost 20 pounds. I slept better. For the first time in years, my home felt calm. Then one Saturday afternoon, while I was shopping for groceries, I saw Vanessa. I almost didn't recognize her. The expensive clothes were gone. The designer handbag was gone. The confidence was gone. She looked exhausted, older somehow. When she noticed me, she froze. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she walked toward me, slowly, carefully, like someone approaching a wild animal. "Hi, Mark." I nodded. "Vanessa." She looked at the floor, then back at me. There were tears in her eyes almost immediately. That used to affect me. "Not anymore. Can we talk?" "No. Please, no." She swallowed hard. Then, she asked the question she had apparently been carrying for months. "Did you ever love me?" I stared at her. Of all the questions she could have asked, that was the one. The answer came easily. "More than you deserved." She started crying. Real crying. Not the controlled version. Not the performance. The ugly kind. For the first time, I believed those tears were genuine. Because she wasn't crying for me. She was crying because she finally understood what she had destroyed. Unfortunately for her, understanding came too late. She whispered, "I wish I could change everything." I nodded. "So do I." Hope flashed across her face. Then I finished the sentence. "I wish I had left sooner." That expression disappeared immediately. And for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no hatred, no sadness, nothing. That was when I realized I had finally healed. Because healing isn't when the pain disappears, it's when the person who caused it no longer controls your emotions. Vanessa stood there for a few seconds. Waiting. Hoping. Looking for some sign of the old Mark. The man who would rescue her. The man who would believe her. The man who would save her from consequences. But that man was gone forever. Eventually she nodded, turned around, and walked away. I watched her disappear into the parking lot. Then I picked up my groceries and went home. Not because I had won. Because life wasn't a competition anymore. The truth was simple. Vanessa spent years choosing excitement over loyalty, manipulation over honesty, secrets over commitment. Eventually those choices became her life. And when everything finally collapsed, she discovered something most cheaters never expect. The person waiting at the finish line isn't the spouse they betrayed. It's the consequences they spent years running from. As for me, I learned something valuable. Trust is a gift, not an obligation. And when someone repeatedly proves they don't deserve it, walking away isn't weakness, it's self-respect. The video that destroyed my marriage didn't ruin my life. It saved it. Because sometimes the worst day of your life is actually the day you finally stop living a lie. And looking back now, I don't remember the woman who betrayed me. I remember the lesson she left behind. Never ignore red flags just because you love the person holding them.